Go.
For those wearing a tallis who'd like to join with us this morning, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher k'sham zetav tzivano l'hitatef batzitzit. Blessed are you, God, Lord of the universe, has given us commandments, commands to wear a tallis, the garment of our responsibility. Boker Tov, good morning, Shabbat Shalom. For those who are joining with us, if you are on YouTube, you can see access to our morning prayer book to follow along with our services, or from our website as well. The prayer book is there for you to enjoy and to follow if you like, or just to follow along in any way that you feel comfortable, seated, standing, whatever. You'll notice on this beautiful April 25th, where the sun is shining, I think right now, Rabbi and Cantor and me are all wearing these special pink yarmulkes, these kippot, in honor of Maddie Shapiro, who was to be a bat mitzvah this morning. And so they have April 25th on there. So we're recognizing this date as special for Maddie, to her, and we'll be honoring her with a bat mitzvah in the months to come, when we all can get together in a safe way. So we continue following the instructions from our governor in the state of Michigan and throughout our country to stay home and stay safe, and have found this to be the best way for us to be able to enjoy Shabbat together and to enjoy our services. And so we'll continue doing it this way to role model for all of you and to make our services meaningful as well. And so we begin our Shabbos morning worship on page 56 of our prayer books for those following along. Elu divarim she'ein lahem shi'or. These are the obligations in life that have no bounds. They are the responsibilities in which we must participate if we're to enjoy the fruits of this world and any world to come. Together, performing acts of love and kindness, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, welcoming guests, visiting the sick, celebrating with the wedding couple, honoring our parents, consoling the bereaved, being devoted to prayer, achieving peace where there is strife. But the study of Torah is equal to them all because it leads to them all. It helps if I'm not muted as I read a prayer. I'm confident that would make it a little more understandable. We praise you, God, who gives life and meaning to all. It was only a sentence or two. And so we continue with our morning Psalms on Shabbat on page 63. It's good to give thanks to God and to sing praises to your name, to tell of your love in the morning and to sing of your faithfulness at night, playing with an instrument of 10 strings, sounding the lute and stroking the harp. Your works have made me rejoice, and your glories move me to sing. How great are your works, God, how profound your design. The insensitive will never appreciate your creations, nor will the fool understand life's meaning. The wicked may flourish like grass, the evil may multiply, they're all doomed to failure. But you, O Eternal, shall be exalted forever. All shall proclaim Adonai is just. Let every living being bless your name. Let every spirit glorify our God forever. Throughout all time, we'll have no ruler but you, our God. You guide the world with love and touch each of your creations with care and kindness. You neither slumber nor sleep. You cause the speechless to utter words, the wrongly imprisoned to go free. You support the fallen, heal the sick, and raise up the lonely. To you alone do we give thanks as we turn to page 65, join with Cantor in our call to worship. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech oseh shalom uvorei et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alaha barachamim uv tuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Praise be the eternal our God, ruler of the world, who makes light to shine and darkness to descend upon us. God has taught us the meaning of peace and shapes all things we touch. With compassion, God gives the earth light and renews the work of creation day by day. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, ma'aha aretz kin yadnecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shebach ma'aseh yadecha, v'am orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela, or chadash al Zion ta'ir, v'nizkeh chulanu mehera de'oro. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ham orot. How great are your works, God. In wisdom you make them all. The earth is filled with your creations. For the glow of the stars, and the work of your hands, let all of your creations give you praise. Shine a new light upon Zion, and may swiftly merit its radiance. Blessed be the eternal maker of the morning light. Great is your love for us and abiding your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them how to value life. Be gracious now to us. With kindness, guide us with your understanding, so we might both learn and teach the laws of truth. Baruch atah Adonai habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava. Blessed is our God who in love has chosen Israel to be a people.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You shall love the eternal your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Set these words I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be a symbol before your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I, the Eternal, am your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, the Eternal, am your God. On page 68. These enduring words have been a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. Faith and choice bring understanding to the soul and sensitivity to the heart. All times and places our God has been a part of our lives. Our faith has been our rock and our help. We watched God's wonders when we went free from Egypt. When slavery's chains were broken, we witnessed it. May those who have the faith to believe also have the wisdom to be kind. O God, in whom we have all hope, we glorify your name now as people have praised you throughout history.
שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו כיאמרו אדוני ימלוך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ופדי חינומך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
And so as we our central prayers of worship, the Amidah, for them, so do we take a moment of silent meditation, either find the words within our prayer books or those that our hearts might prompt.
ופי יגיד תהילתך. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי בו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצליח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Eternal is your power, O God. You are mighty to save. You rain dew upon us. In love, you sustain the living. In the multitude of your mercies, you preserve all. You uphold the falling and heal the sick. Free the captives and keep faith with your children in death as in life. Who is like you? Who is your equal? Author of life and death, source of salvation. Blessed is the eternal God, the source of life. We sanctify your name on earth, even as your holiness is proclaimed in the heavens above and throughout time and space. In the words of the prophet Isaiah, we say, Holy, 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 holy is the Lord of hosts. The fullness of the whole earth is God's glory.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, Kevodo. Baruch Kavod Adonai, Mimakomo, Yimloch Adonai Leolam, Elohayich Tzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah.
To all generations, we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed is Adonai, the holy God. Our God and God of our ancestors, accept our rest as a sacrifice of time and space. Let us share in your world by celebrating creation day by day. Purify our hearts so that we might be honest and upright, forgiving and compassionate. Blessed are you, O God of truth, who helps us to make the Sabbath a part of our life and our heritage of joy. Look with favor, O God, upon your people Israel and receive our prayers with love. May it be your will to accept our worship and our deeds. Blessed are you who alone we serve and reverence. Eternal source of good, we thank you for the numberless gifts and blessings that fill our days, for life itself and its endless variety, for all that sustains body and mind, for love and friendship, for the delights of the senses, and for the excellence of your Torah, which deepens our life and enriches our days. Help us, O God, to work for a just and compassionate society, where all may share your gifts in the joy of freedom. For all of this, your name shall be blessed and praised forever.
וישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת מקדשי שביעי שבת כולם יספרו ויתנגנו טובך שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת זכר למעשה בראשית שבת זכר למעשה בראשית שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
Those who keep the Sabbath and call it a delight shall rejoice in your majesty. All who hallow the seventh day shall find happiness in your goodness. This day is Israel's festival of the Spirit, sanctified and blessed by you, the most precious of days, a symbol of the joy of creation.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עמך
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country that it may always be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship of inhabitants of all lands, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Blessed is the eternal God, the source of peace. So we continue with the service for the reading of Torah, which can be found on page 79 in your prayer books. It shall come to pass in the fullness of time that the mountain of the Eternal's house shall be established as the highest mountain and raised above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. And many peoples shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of the Eternal, to the house of the God of Jacob. Then we may be taught the ways of our God and walk in the path of the Almighty.
אין כמוך באלוהים, אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך, מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לימו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו, תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד.
This morning's Torah portion will be read from the book of Leviticus, chapter 13, verses 1 through 6. It's actually a double portion known as Tazria Mitzorah, and Cantor will be chanting it as Rabbi translates. And so we invite you to join with us in the blessing before the reading of Torah, which can be found on page 82 in your prayer books.
ערכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Olam Vaed.
ברוך אדוני ברוך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן. וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור.
God spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying these words.
אדם כי יהיה ויור בשרו, שאת או ספחת או אחרת, והיה ויור בשרו לנגע צרעת, והובא אל אהרון הכהן, או אל אחד מבניו הכהנים.
When a person has on the skin of his body a swelling or rash or a discoloration, and it develops into a scaly affection on the skin of his body, it shall be reported to Aaron the priest or to one of his sons, the priests.
וראה הכהן את הנגע באור הבשר, ושיער בנגע הפך לבן, ומראה הנגע עמוק מאור בשרו, נגע צרת הוא, וראהו הכהן וטימא אותו.
You can see I've shared the Torah portion on our screen so you can follow along with us as well. It says the priest shall examine that affection on the skin of his body. If hair is the affected patch has turned white and the affection appears to be deeper than the skin of his body, it is a leprous affection. And the priest sees it, he shall pronounce him unclean. I wanted you all to have this experience with me in how peculiar and gross these descriptions are. The only thing nice about this is the cantor's chanting of it.
ואם בהרת לבנה היא ביור בשרו, ועמוק אין מראה מן האור, ושערה לא הפך לבן, והזכיר הכהן את הנגע shivat yamim.
If it's white in discoloration on the skin of the body, which does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and the hair in it has not turned white, the priest shall isolate the affected person for 7 days.
V'ra'ahu hakohen bayom hashvi'i, ve'hinei hanega עמד בעיניו, לא פסע הנגע באור, והזכירו הכהן 7 ימים שנית.
On that 7th day, the priest shall examine him, and if the infection has remained unchanged in color and disease and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall isolate him for another 7 days.
וראה הכהן אותו ביום השביעי שנית, והנה כהה הנגע ולא פסע הנגע באור, וטיהרו הכהן משפחת היא, וכיבס בגדיו וטהר.
On the 7th day, the priest shall examine him again. If the affection has faded, has not spread on the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is a rash. He shall wash his clothes, and he shall be clean. Together we join in the blessing after Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
As Rabbi mentioned, the description of bodily discharges, inflammations, burns, and skin diseases, which can be found in this week's double portion, often make people cringe. Which is why in a typical year, we rabbis often find ourselves looking for relevant and inspiring messages from outside of this portion. Before I look for those other topics, though, every year when we get to this section, I think of a certain temple member who used these verses to his advantage. After being assigned the role of chaplain in his fraternity, a role that he didn't run for and didn't want, he was asked to read some verses from the Bible for a benediction. And so he arrived at the meeting and he chose to read verses from this week's double portion. He was never asked to read and share biblical verses for a benediction again. This year, though, is a little bit different. When we read these verses, we see how even though Torah was written and given to us thousands of years ago, how relevant it really is in our daily lives. As Cantor chanted and Rabbi read, this portion describes what should happen if someone were to contract a disease of the skin that people thought was leprosy, which in fact was a disease that was shared through nose and mouth droplets. Sound familiar? Just as we do today, the ancient Israelites were to go to someone who would diagnose them. They had their sick visit with their ancient priest, and then they were physically separated from the rest of the community. It's incredible how even back then they understood social distancing. But that's not what I want to focus on. Instead, it's what happens next. Instead of isolating the individuals who are in quarantine outside of the camp, it became the responsibility of the priests to tend to and take care of those individuals. In doing this, just as we've talked about over these past few weeks, the isolation was a physical one, not a social one. As our stay home, stay safe order here in Michigan has been extended, this is an important lesson and reminder for us that as we remain secluded in our own homes, we know that feelings of anxiety and depression begin to manifest themselves for many in new ways. And so, like the ancient priests who worked to make sure that those in quarantine were not alone, we too need to continue to do that. We need to work to find ways to virtually congregate, whether it be with one other individual or even as a group. I hear stories all the time of people who are succeeding in doing this. I think of Temple members who have been in area hospitals whose family hasn't been able to visit them. Family after family has shared with me how wonderful their care team at the hospital has been, holding a phone to the patient's ear when they couldn't do it for themselves, or arranging for FaceTime visits. Again, with staff at hospitals holding the phones or tablets so that loved ones could be together. And I think of our phone brigade here at Temple, how they've been connecting with other members just to check in. Or one of our Sunday school teachers who called to check in with each one of her students this past week. This is the work that the priests of old did. As physical healing took place, they worked to ensure the emotional and social needs were also fulfilled. So if there's one lesson that you take from this morning, if there's one thing that you do, I hope that you'll pick up the phone today. Pick it up every day this week. Think of one person every day who you think would appreciate or need that personal connection, and call them or text them just to check in and say hello. And if you're someone who could use one of those calls, know that you're not the only one, and that you too should pick up your phone and make that call. Because not only will the person you call benefit, but you will too. May this be a lesson for all of us, in a way that each of us in these dark times makes our world a little brighter. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will. Beyond our own prayers, private prayers as a community, do we now turn with thoughts of Torah on our mind to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, physical, emotional, spiritual. When we say the words of the Mishaberach L'Chalim, the words of prayers of healing for our loved ones. Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel, hu yivarech et L'Chalim. Merciful God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, send your blessings to our loved ones who are stricken with illness and anxiety.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say
In our community, we think of Alyssa Ayudo, Carol Binder, Eugene Blakeman, Joel Bussell, Pat Carey, Karen Kasman, Bill Cooperstock, Lisa Dorff, Miriam Farber, Gary Fishman, Paul Fulton, Adele Gaba Band, Joe Gilbert, Howard Goldberg, Paul Goldberg, Charles Gross, Andrew and Crystal Halo, Hank Heiser, Batya Batbeshia Panina, Jerry Hoffman, Harriet Hoffman, Vera Hopkins Gordon, Rebecca Horn, Sarah Jacobson, Michael Kahn, Rick Kornspan, Yvonne Krasny, Henry Leopold, Nancy Levine, Nina Livieva, Danny and Judy Malamed, Florence Mars, Zoe Marcus, Beth Margolin, Joyce Mazda, Ellie Meisler, Scott Miles, Stephen Newman, Ian Nordan, Lori Nosenchuk, Rabbi Robert Nosenchuk, Eric Perez, Leslie Pillings, Sarah Pomerantz, Miriam Leah Badanelva Esther, Jean Richmond, Alan Rosen, the Saint Amand family, Erna Schoen, Amy Selmanoff, Sonia Sklar, Fran Sunny, Evelyn Soroka, Toby Stein, Andrew Sternberg, Stephen Stillwater, Chaim Shmuel Ben Noach, Kochav Ben Noach, Sherry Weiner, Loretta Ziegelman, all those battling the coronavirus, both at home and in the hospital. The 20,095 American troops who have been injured in Iraq and Afghanistan to date, as well as all the names in our hearts. May God grant them a refuah shlema.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We add to this our prayers for those who are in the role of healing and helping in these difficult times. May the one who's blessed our ancestors bless all those who put themselves at risk to care for the sick, physicians, nurses, and orderlies, technicians, home health aides, EMTs and pharmacists, hospital workers, respiratory therapists, mental health professionals, and psychologists. And bless those who continue to go above and beyond, those working daily in our grocery stores, those driving medical supplies to our homes, those delivering necessities to those in need, those cooking meals for so many, everyone who puts their needs above their own need, others' needs above their own, who navigate the unfolding dangers of our world each day, tending to those who have sworn to help, blessing them in their coming home and bless them in their going out. Ease their fear, God, sustain them, source of all breath, healer of all beings, protect them, restore their hope, strengthen them that they may bring strength, keep them in health that they may bring healing, help them know again a time when they can breathe without fear. Bless the sacred work of their hands. May this plague pass from among us speedily and in our days. And let us say, Amen. We turn to our prayers of adoration and conclusion as we rise together on page
91.
91. Thank you.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם.
O God, who heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, give comfort to those who mourn. Give them courage and strength, compassion and kindness, and restore to them a sense of life's goodness. Give them the ability to accept the mystery of life, and let them soon know peace. Help them endure that which no one can understand, and let us say, Amen. In this Shabbat, we think of those friends and family who have been taken from us in these most recent days, whose Shiva, Shloshim, and Shana we mark. Natalie Geisman, Lester Geisman, Jane Raitt, Stephen Raitt, Bruce Barkin, Michael Edwin, Paula Greenberg, Michael Cullen, Anita Sossin, Deborah Mursky, George Zeff, Representative Isaac Robinson, Tony Sanders, Carol Metzger, Helen Harris, Jeannie Potash, Rosa Ernstein, Elise Rollins, Leslie Leiter, Bruce Early, Laura Roth, Stephen Averbuck, and the 2,420 Americans in our armed forces lost in Afghanistan and the surrounding areas to date. And to their names, we add those whose yard sites we mark, those whose anniversary of passing we love and we commemorate. Helen Bakoff, Common Bandoline, David Bauer, J. Frederick Beadle, Sidney Blatt, Edna Berg, Adele Cohen, Helen Ettinger, Elise Field, Dr. Daniel Gilbert, Sylvia Goldsmith, Harry Goodman, Beatrice Himmelhock, Sybil Hoffman, Louis Horn, Abraham Horowitz, George Horwich, Scott Randall Jonas, Rosalind Kavieff, Joan Margaret King, Rhonda Faye Moran Klump, Jack Lowenberg Coblin, Julian Lefkowitz, Joshua Saul Lobenthal, Anna Loveland, Jeannie Malamed, Jerry Henry Mandel, Dick Myers, Burton Naines, John Bill Newcomb, Hannah Noselis, Alex Olin, Brian Passerman, James Persinger, Julie Pivos Sias, Morris Pollock, William Popesco, Amy Meg Rosenblum, Celia Roth, Meyer Schiff, Harry Schwartz, Annette Scott, Arlene Shapiro, Harvey Shapiro, Iris Shui, Lawrence Sikora, Leonard Silk, Joka Shimko, Stephen Simons, Dr. Gerald Stein, Lena Stone, Shirley Unger, Leah Vayner, Lorraine Wedgel, Hyman Weiner, Rube Weiss, Freeman Wilner, Shay Celia Ziff, along with all those in our hearts and those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Do we join together in the immortal words of the mourner's Kaddish as found on page 96 of our prayer books. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon u'vyomachon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam omei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dikrusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Huya say shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all the bereaved among us here and everywhere. As together we say, Amen.
Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Yisrael. 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 Good Shabbos,
Good
everyone.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Nice to have all of you joining with us this Shabbat morning for our services. As we conclude now, of course, if there's a Tish question, you can throw it up into the chat on YouTube and it will be thrown over to us on this side and we'll try to answer that to the best of our ability. Question about anything that might be on your mind, Jewish law, war, Torah portion, whatever you're curious. But as those come our way, a few things to share. Tonight's Havdalah will be at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live. And so you can join with us on my Facebook Live. We'll be broadcasting from that, but shared from my colleagues' Facebooks as well. And at Monday morning, we're starting some more adult ed opportunities. So Monday morning, it'll be Monday morning musings with Rabbi Moskowitz. That's me. At 9 a.m. every Monday, 15 fast minutes of text, of teaching, of fun. And I've invited a friend of mine and yours, Dan Nichols, to join in sharing a melody to this favorite text that I wanted to teach about and talk about for a few moments. So he'll be with us as we broadcast too on Facebook Live on Monday. And starting on May 5th, a week later, on Tuesdays, we're doing a 5-part Lunch and Learn series with Rabbi Daniel and with our friend in Israel, Benny Levin, who is our tour guide, tour provider extraordinaire. And so we're excited for this as he takes his drone and himself and goes to these magnificent places and teaches about them with Rabbi Daniel, talking about how beautiful, special, and historic all of these areas are. And you can come to one class, all 5 classes, whatever you want. For the temple members, there is no cost to that. For non-members, there's a small fee as well. So with that in mind, Rabbi Cantor, anything else we wanted to share?
Yes.
In addition to that,
Sorry, Rabbi.
go ahead, Cantor.
Just promoting Havdalah this week with Nathan and you. And I know you'll mention that and you can say a little more about it if you'd like. And then next week, if you want to announce what we're doing, that would be great.
Sure. We want to bring more music into our lives, especially in these times. And so John Bogdan, who is our accomplished pianist who helps us with all of our services, is going to be performing with us for Havdalah next Saturday, and then doing a little concert afterward, sharing some of his favorite pieces, some of his magistry as well. And we're excited for that.
I'll share a look on the we're on the horizon for some other adult ed possibilities. We're going to have another Lunch and Learn series that's going to be starting in a few weeks on Thursdays at noon. And we'll be bringing different scholars from around, at the moment, the United States that we have lined up. But we'll have some information that'll be going out about that next Thursday, probably on the blast. That we have that. But we have a couple professors that are already lined up. One is Rabbi Dr. Gary Zola, who's the head of the American Jewish Archives in Cincinnati. And the second one is Rabbi Ken Cantor, who heads the movement for reform. I'm going to blank on the name now. But Rabbi Ken Cantor will also be sharing one of his programs, probably Tin Pan Alley. So talking about the music of the Catskills and sharing a little bit of that with us as well. So, and a few more that we're in the process, and then we'll have that program put together for you.
Spectacular. Well, I forgot what I was going to mention right now, but that's okay. Hey, listen, it looks like we're going to have a warmer day today, a little more sunshine. Make sure you get outside. Make sure you call someone, check in with someone else as well, and share that Shabbat spirit, that joy that we experience together, even when we're physically apart, how we are spiritually connecting in these ways as well, reminding us of the sweetness of this time in our life. As we raise the cup of wine and join with Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Blessed are you, God, ruler of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine, the sweetness of life. Adonai, Oze Mo Yitain, Adonai Avarech Mo Vashalom. May God give strength to all people. May God bless all of us here and everywhere with peace.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Adonai Oze Mo Yitain, Adonai Yevarech et Amo Vashalom. Shabbat Shalom.